So you just watched episode 4 of Lovecraft Country and need to talk about this episode, from the spoilers to what that ending means for episode 5, potentially. Who knows? Well, don't worry, you are in the right place. Welcome to JBuck Studios, your home for reviews, reactions, and ridiculousness. And yes, we're talking about episode 4 of Lovecraft Country because HBO Max decided to be generous and dropped this a couple days early, which means I don't have a day off, but don't worry, I'm excited to talk about this one. Before, though, I get into my spoiler-free thoughts and then obviously spoiler-filled discussion, let me know down in the comments below what you guys thought of this episode 4, kind of what stood out, what kind of theories you have, where do you think certain things in this episode are going to lead into episode 5. I want to know in the comments down below, but let's get into this spoiler-free. Obviously, we're starting with that. I thought that this was, again, another solid episode on, or in this series, essentially. You know, episode 3, I thought got back on track with that haunted house vibe, but this one is very much Indiana Jones. It is an adventure vibe, searching for treasure, and it's all of these, it's literally all of the tropes from Indiana Jones. So I loved that part of this episode, and I now am kind of figuring out each of these episodes is going to be a theme, is going to be this different almost genre of senses, and this adventure Indiana Jones, go out, find some treasure, almost Goonies style aesthetic, I very much loved. I mean, from the characters, the setup, the things that they drop in this, I'm loving this episode, or this series rather, more and more as the episodes go on. Sure, there was a few things that I had problems with some of the music potentially. They jump into more kind of hip-hop, modern music more than once. You know, in a few of the previous episodes they've done it, and I thought that it worked. But this one, they do it 2 or 3 times, and it took me out of the feel of this episode. Aside from that, though, I very much loved this episode. Again, that adventure feel was probably, this might be my favorite episode so far. But now we are getting into the spoilers of episode 4, so, you know, if you don't want to know anything, get the hell out of here, comment, and like the video, though. But getting into this episode from the very beginning, Montrose, aka Atticus's father, is reading a passage from the Book of the Ancient Dawn, or the Order of the Ancient Dawn, I believe, which somehow has ties with, you know, Titus, the Brathrites, or Brathwaite, and kind of what the hell is going on in this story. But also, he drops hints and tips of kind of what him and George and whatnot have been through. You know, he says that the fire, because he burns the book, it smells like Tulsa, which hints to, you know, the Black Wall Street, I believe, in Tulsa. But it's almost like Montrose is hiding something. You know, he burns this book. He's kind of keeping all of this knowledge to himself. And this kind of shady behavior continues throughout this episode. And Atticus obviously questions why he knows so much of the Order of Adam and everything about Titus, but without actually thinking he knows everything. Like, he's definitely hiding things from the group, and we'll get into his character a little bit later in this episode. But moving into this, like, this is an adventure type story. This one is them going on this adventure looking for the pages of Titus, and also the hidden pages of Hiram, I believe, the guy that was the house that Letty bought, which we'll get into her too. But they're looking for the pages to essentially decipher the language to then figure out what the hell is going on with the Order of Adam. So this leads them to Boston, into a museum, and they very much break in at night, or they're let in. But this is beat by beat an Indiana Jones adventure, which I loved, from, you know, moonlight coming in, to secret passages, to water raising up, to transformations, to like an invisible disappearing bridge with swinging axes. This was an action-packed fun time. And yeah, it leads them down into this underground chamber, and they're looking through these kind of trapdoors, which then the book that Montrose burned, the passage from that is the combination to get into this vault, the hidden vault of Titus here. So again, he's conveying or hiding this information, this much needed information, from Letty and Atticus through this story. But then this leads them to this hidden vault of Titus, and actually Atticus has to use his arm to get into it, kind of, again, another trapdoor. But you find out, since he has the blood of Titus running through him, he's able to get into the vault. They get into the vault, they find the hidden chapters, or the pages rather, but it is it's kind of guarded by this woman, Yaim or something. I'm probably pronouncing her name incorrectly, but it's like a mixture of a man and a woman because it's very much a female presence, but she has a penis. So spoiler, shock trigger warning if you don't want to see a dick on TV. But you find out that Titus has kind of betrayed her, killed all of her people, brought them there, and then kept her as a prisoner. So that is kind of the story of Atticus, Letty, and Montrose on this adventure type story. But jumping over a little bit, I mentioned that the house and whatnot that Letty got, that we found out that Christine actually gave her the money for. Yeah, you find out that that's exactly what happens. And Letty in this episode very much figures that out because Christine comes to the house trying to get into this house, looking for something that Hiram hid, which is that golden outer space solar system type thing that was in last episode that Hippolyta, I believe, took, and you see her in this episode trying to get it appraised. There's a lock. It has something to do with time because Christine very much talks about time and whatnot. So is this artifact what she was looking for, or was it the vault downstairs? But she can't get into the house because the people blessed the house in the last episode, episode 3. So there's a lot, again, going on in this episode from her not being able to get into the house. But then you find out that she has this kind of weird partnership or agreement with Lancaster, I believe, that police officer or police captain. And she goes and meets with him. So I think that he is part of the Order of Adam or doing his own bidding on the side. But you find out that this guy is someone not to mess with because someone is like locked in his closet and he is very much telling Christine, don't mess with him. He sends people to Christine's house where actually Christine goes in and then William comes out and essentially beats them up and threatens them not to follow her or him, which actually that brings up a theory. I'm very much convinced, a lot of people are saying it, but I'm very much convinced that Christine and William, both blonde hair, you never see them on the same screen together, and her going into the house and then him coming out, it's definitely the same person. So spoiler, I guess, who knows, we'll find out. Christine is William here. But then it goes over to Hippolyta. Again, she has this kind of outer space, solar system type thing that I think very much ties into the book. I have not read the book, but it has to do with time, or there's something more to it because Christine wants it. She's getting it to prey. She's trying to figure out what is going on with it. But the very last part of the episode, you see her and her daughter find a map, and it shows the very last place that I guess George was going. And you see her turn around on the road, and they're going to that very last place that was marked on the map. So I'm curious where this is going to lead their story. Is she going to find the truth out about George and how Atticus and all of them are lying about it? Who really knows? I'm very excited to find out what's going on with her storyline. But the final thing in this episode that honestly confused me and almost reinforces the fact that Montrose is maybe this... He's good, he's bad, he has a different agenda than everyone else, is they're trying to talk to this Himla girl that they found in the vault. But you find out that she's a siren, and Titus had put essentially a spell on her so she can't tell them any information. So Atticus talks to her a little bit, trying to be like, okay, we can teach her English, we can get this information out of her, we can figure this out and find the pages of Titus and get all of this together, because they already got what appears to be Hiram's pages. But Montrose goes into the room trying to console her and then literally just slits her throat. So he kills her. And she definitely has information that Atticus and Letty need. Potentially Montrose already has this information. So what is going on? Is he good? Is he bad? Does he have a different agenda? Because again, he burns that book at the beginning that he claims that George gave to him the night he died. Oh, I forgot to even talk about Ruby. She definitely has the thing with William. She kind of hooks up with him because I think that William, aka Christine, because we can, I think we can all agree that they are the same person. William, aka Christine, has some sort of bidding to do with Ruby, which I'm assuming she's going to use Ruby to get to Letitia to get to the house. So that's kind of how this episode winds up. But I'm so curious to find out what episode 5 is going to bring. Kind of, are we going to find out more about Montrose and why he's hiding things? Are we going to specifically find out what Christine is doing with Ruby and kind of what that solar system or outer space type artifact has to do, and along with where they're going to see where George's last place is. So this was a fantastic episode, full of information, honestly, and I'm curious if you've read the book, if there's even more in the book that ties into this episode. But what did you guys think of this episode? Did you love it? Did you like it? What did I miss? What things really stood out to you, and kind of little tiny hints that they put into this book? Because, like, there's a lot that are hidden in these episodes, and very much I loved this adventure feel. I'm curious what next week's episode kind of genre, subgenre, vibe overall is going to be, but let me know in the comments down below all of your thoughts on this episode 4. Anyways, though, as always, thank you so much for watching. Watch some more videos up there, or right over there, you know, brand new content every single week here on the JBuck Studios channel. I just dropped 2 different Ending Explained Poorly videos. Please, God, just go over there and like them for Tenet, and I'm thinking of ending things. A lot of work was put into those. Otherwise, follow all of my social media to stay up to date on this channel's newest content. Like this video, subscribe to the JBuck Studios channel, and until next time, we'll see you later.